In this episode, we will be making a candy dispenser. I will be making a Skittles dispenser. It doesn't have to be Skittles. It could be anything that's an even size. Basically anything roundish. This build should be easy enough for young kids to try. It's not going to take too long. Let's get into it. So to start with, you need to figure out what materials you're going to use, and that will determine what size it will be. This is a great scrap wood project. This jar is a food jar that we bought at the supermarket. Just needs to have a removable lid. The board that's going to bring your candy out needs to be slightly bigger than your piece of candy, but it needs to be big enough that it can hold your candy without breaking or anything. This is going to be my baseboard. We're going to have this in the middle. We'll cut this board to go on either side, and then this board will be able to slide in and out like that, and screw the lid on top of all that. Let's start with cutting this piece of wood. Alright, this piece of wood needs to go exactly in the middle. We need to cut this board so that it sits flush on either side of the smaller board. Let's measure how big this is. It's 125 millimeters. It's 20. So what is half of 105? Well, you need to figure that out. Half of 100 is 50. Half of 5 is 2.5. So you add those together, 52.5. So that's the size that we need to cut this. We need to cut 2 of these. So let's mark it. So just go 52. Then you grab your square and you mark along the lines. So we got our board all marked. We want these 2 bits. So how are we going to do that? Well, for you guys, I'll do it with a handsaw, because that's probably what you have lying around. Make sure your piece of wood is firmly held down before you start, and try and get a straight line. I'm using a drill, but you don't have to use a drill. You can always nail. It needs to go below the surface of the wood. Sometimes it's best to drill one hole, screw it, and then do the rest to hold it in place. Better to be loose than too tight on this project. Now we need to figure out where the middle of this is. This is a nice straight edge. We'll go corner to corner and draw a line. And we have our middle. We need to figure out where we're putting the hole in this board. First, we need to figure out how this is going to get stopped from going all the way out. This is going to be my stopper. So I will screw this to the back of there. This is a milk bottle lid. Everyone should know what this is. Perfect. Making sure this does not come off. That's good. That is where our hole needs to go. So we have our Skittle, and we have where we want the hole to go. Now, your hole needs to be deeper than a single Skittle. You put it a little bit deeper and you mark just below. Now if it goes that way, when it goes back out again, it will flip itself over. Make that go all the way across. And that's where the top is. It's going to be like that. Like so. I'm going to make that a bit bigger. Should be able to hold our Skittle quite easily. Now I'm going to cut that out with the handsaw. Now if you want, make it nice and smooth. This piece of wood is going to go on top. There's going to be a hole in the middle and a hole in the jar. lollies will want to go down into that little space and you can pull them out. You need to cut this wood to size. I'm going to grab my measuring tape, mark it like that. These are useful for beginners when they don't know how to get a straight line. This piece of wood, as well as this piece, and anything that's going to be touching your food, should not be treated or varnished. That is not recommended because you don't want any of that in your food because it's bad chemicals. So make sure it looks like it's not treated, not green at all. Figure out where you want it, then make a line down the middle-ish. Doesn't have to be perfect. Figure out where this is. You need to drill a pretty big hole in this piece of wood. I will be using this type of drill bit to drill my hole. With these, you need to have a junk piece of wood at the bottom, not your workbench. You need to clamp it down, and you'll probably want a power drill. So I'm going to use a rasp type file and just make it so that it's like a funnel. I'm going to screw this lid to the piece of wood, then we will drill a hole in the lid. Let's screw this thing. I accidentally screwed into the other screw, so that hole's just gonna sit there. Let's chuck a few Skittles in here. 2 Skittles! They're falling out there. Hey, we got one. That's pretty good. I'm actually going to just quickly drill very so slightly into the wood here to try and make it so that it holds the Skittle better. Now the last thing is the end. That works great if you like pull it like that. But it needs to stop somewhere. It's kind of long, isn't it? Mark where I want it to stop. For the stopper, you could use a screw for the stopper, you could use a piece of metal, you could use another milk bottle, it's really up to you. And screw that on like that. All done.
Look at that. That's a candy dispenser. And it's super simple. It's like one of the most simple things I've ever done. There's one moving part. Do not cover the wood in anything that might be harmful. Paint, varnish, stain, do not put that on this. It can probably get into your food. I would not want to eat any of those. Now that doesn't mean you can't make it fancy. If I was to protect it with something, I would put like normal household food oil, olive oil, canola oil, rub that in there, and that would make it nice if you want to like have full wood look. I thought about doing like food coloring. If you want a colorful little candy dispenser, totally add some food coloring to that. That would make it look pretty cool, I think. I highly recommend trying this. This is definitely a build to try of one of my builds if you're not that experienced. Yeah, this is a cool build. I did it in a few hours, so I'm sure you could too. If you haven't checked out any of my other quick builds, go and do that right now. Let me know if you attempted to build this and made it work. You go and make this, give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again.